We are living in a nation that's selectively wise, but there is ignorance among it. You can read it.
Y'all gonna be here for a while?
Most of these sounds are house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, but I hear you for sure. I like that's.
Let's take a moment to just be here. Just for a minute.
No, she's doing something about their notebooks.
My name is Sheba, and today we're at the Freedom Riders Museum in Montgomery, Alabama. So far we've been on this tour for 2 days, and it's been an experience. I've learned about history that really isn't talked about in schools. We learned about the severity, the gravity, the dehumanization of a lot of African Americans, and it's been frustrating, sad, and disappointing, but also hopeful because we're standing on historic, sacred ground.
Teach the Truth Tour is in Montgomery, Alabama, at the waterfront, where millions of Africans were traded into enslavement to meet the demand for cotton, especially after the invention in 1793 of the cotton gin. With the expansion of the cotton industry resulting from the cotton gin being invented in 1793, many more enslaved people were needed to deal with the demand for cotton. Enslaved people were brought by river boats along the river here, the Alabama River, landing here and then being sold in businesses here along the waterfront. The enslaved population of Montgomery went from about 45,000 people to nearly 500,000 people as a result of the cotton gin and the need to have more enslaved people picking cotton in the South.
Many of these buildings, I don't know, for those that walked all the way towards the end of the waterfront, they had signs about the evolution of the city of Montgomery. And one of the signs talked about the Alabama River being a thoroughfare for trade. And they talked about through the years how it was this highway of commerce. Nowhere on that sign do they talk about who was traded, right, or what was traded. But they do talk about these buildings that were warehouses that were used for, quote, wholesale. That's what the sign said. And they talk about how now they've been remodeled into offices.
These red brick buildings that you see were put up by enslaved men. In Georgia and Alabama, it was black men, enslaved men, who were experts in brick masonry. When you see these buildings, red brick buildings, you can be sure that black enslaved men built them. Who was Jim Crow? Who was Jim? Oh, you know who Jim Crow was?
He was a character made up by a white person to signify what they
Exactly. A character made up by a white person to signify
what a black person looked like.
what a black person looked like. She's correct. His name was Daddy Rice. He was a white man. After the Civil War, Daddy Rice went around the South with blackface on, dressed up like a bumbling black man, and white folks loved it. Oh, he went all over the South, making fun of black people, very stereotypic black acting. And that was the lead-in to minstrel shows, where white people put on blackface and went around acting stupid. That's a reflection of black people. So Daddy Rice was Jim Crow. He was known as Jim Crow as he traveled around the South. Jim Crow was coming. Following that now, Jim Crow came to mean the laws that were passed that were intended to keep black people and white people separate. Jim Crow laws. And all of the states in the southern part of our country had Jim Crow laws. There were also Jim Crow practices. It wasn't necessarily against the law, but you knew not to do it. For example, speaking now about my own time, if a black person or a white person on the sidewalk, what was the black person supposed to do? Step aside. When a black person was addressing a white person, what was the black person supposed to do? Look down. Don't look in the eyes. Don't look in the eyes of the white person. That's a threat. You have to go to the back door of white people's home. Those are the law. It was a practice. You knew to do that if you were black. Rosa Parks was a seamstress. She worked in the Montgomery Ward department store. This building right here. And this is the bus stop where in 1955 Rosa Parks boarded the bus that rode her into history. This is the Dux Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. This was Dr. King's church in 1955 when the bus boycott in Montgomery was organized. Dux Avenue Baptist Church.
As far as the southern states were concerned, he was the leader of this new country that was called the Confederacy. And then, of course, after the Civil War, the Union was victorious, so the United States was united again. But what we want to point out is as you walk up to the Capitol and as you move around this area, the monuments, like this costs a lot of money, right? The monuments that are here, the statues that are up if you want to walk to the top of the steps, they're either of people that were connected to the Confederacy, they had a leadership role in the Confederacy, or they were segregationists, staunch segregationists. So I want you to walk around and see that, and then as you, and there's other things too, there's war memorials, but just from a monument perspective, just think about what that means, right? This is the government of the state of Alabama, and this is what surrounds that building.
Testing one, two.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. What are we voting on today? All right, we're now going to take our vote. We'll start over here on the end.
Yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
So I hereby now enact that loan forgiveness will stand and education will now be free.
The Teach the Truth tour is at the Rosa Parks and Montgomery Bus Boycott Museum.
History of the bus boycott. After that finishes, you'll continue to these doors at the back.
The words and images in this room take us back to a time when people of this city endured great suffering, yet displayed uncommon courage to win one of the first great civil rights victories of the 20th century. Driver Blake has a problem. He believes that city segregation laws require that these people give up their seats. He's wrong. The city ordinance on bus segregation says that passengers in the center section of the bus are not required to move if no other seats are available. By dawn, every
last time, Mother, how was your day? What transpired? What did I think that we learned? I could never say anything that I was afraid that I would lose my job or whatever, but I had backing and had support from
And it's almost similar to going to a football game and having cheerleaders.
One of the students on this tour asked what was wrong with sitting on the back of the bus. This was a white student. We had to explain to him that what was wrong with it was that it was humiliating. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. lived in this house when he was pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church from 1955 until about 1964. This house was bombed with other claims because of Dr. King's activity in Montgomery bus boycott. King was advised to leave town, so even though the house was bombed, King and his wife Coretta remained here with their baby, despite the threats.
I definitely want to learn more about slavery and how people came from where they came from to the U.S. The sacrifices made for me to be able to get the education and live the life that I live today.
Honestly, I expect to see more unraveling of the African American experience, so that way that we can be more educated on how we can be allies of the African American community.
When I came in, I already knew I was going to get something from it. Sure, I've taken a lot of history classes, and I've been very fortunate at a young age to have not had that history erased like many kids now have. But the sheer depth of it, I've always known that racism was a systematic means of oppression, but to see just how deeply woven into the country it is, in every single law, in so many institutions now, whether it be jails or even our own transportation systems, it is so deeply woven into this country. The fact that it's trying to be erased truly confounds me. I found myself, even as someone who was already relatively knowledgeable on the subject, I almost felt dimmer, because I realized it is so much more expansive than even my AP classes and these history classes in college have told me. It is truly richer than I could have ever imagined.
I feel a lot of emotions, deep grief, deep sadness, as well as, some inspiring moments, and being able to see all these faces and knowing these memories and the history, I could see the importance, behind it all. So profoundly impacted is what I would say I feel.
I felt very strong impact. I go to a lot of museums. I do a lot of stuff with history in general. It's definitely a passion of mine. I've never once cried at a museum, and today was the first time that happened to me. It was extremely evocative. The imagery was extremely evocative for me.
Without feeling anger and sadness, but also appreciation for the fact that we have this history available to us. You must come here to understand African American history. It's not just about the lynchings and the anti-black violence, but about our entire experience as black people in America. Please come to Montgomery and visit the Legacy Museum.
You want more?
If you got it, we're good. No, we're good.
Hey. What about
Thank
this
you.
side? Look, they have people online and they have people inside.
Thank you.
Okay.
We are at the Sculpture Garden. This is the National Monument to Freedom here at EJI in Montgomery. There are dozens of sculptures around this park telling the story of black people in America. Beautifully done, outstanding sculptures and recreations of black life. For example, there are cabins here that were taken from plantations and brought here so that we could see how people lived during slavery. But most important, art is used to tell the story in sculpture, and it's magnificent what we have to learn from just by seeing these magnificent pieces. For example, look at this one. Many of these pieces are in bronze. You can feel the sadness in these pieces. Very, very well done. This is the National Monument to Freedom at EJI in Montgomery, Alabama. There are magnificent pieces of art that have been made to help tell the story of African Americans in this country.
Being at this particular location and space at this particular moment just brings our heartfelt tears. It brings up a lot of joy to see that people are preserving the history of our people that look like us and telling the story. This place has so many sculptures, so much artistic expression showing our people and who we are, what we've been through, how proud we are, how strong we are, and how we've manifested and overcome so many things. I'm happy to be here. I'm here on behalf of Bear University as well as Peace Global, a nonprofit that I run, learning from Dr. Dunn and gaining the experience and everything from Dr. Dunn. And it's been a joy to be here so far, and I'm ready for the rest of the tour.
This is the National Memorial to Lynching at EJI. Known lynchings are listed on these monuments that you see here, county by county, state by state. And that's what we're going to walk through right now. Here is one of the monuments to Florida lynching. This one is Alachua County. Several people listed as having been lynched in Alachua County, Florida. Let's see if there are other Florida victims. Bay County, Florida. Unknown victims. 1908. We'll never know who they are. Here's Bradford County, Florida. If you lived in Florida during the lynching era, your chances of being lynched were greater than if you lived in Mississippi, Alabama, or any other southern state. Florida had the highest proportional lynching of blacks than any other southern state, including Mississippi. Oh, Brevard County, James Clara, July 11, 1926, Brevard County, Florida. That's the Space Coast. That's where Cape Canaveral is located. Reuben Stacy, here's Broward County. They lynched that boy in 1935 in Fort Lauderdale. Reuben Stacy, allegedly for asking for a glass of water from a white woman. In that lynching, the sheriff offered his pistol to those whites who were involved in killing Reuben Stacy. Calhoun County, Florida. Noah Griffin, Red Temples, Charles Smoke, and Richard Smoke. 1930, 131, 1313. This is Calhoun County, Florida. 4 lynchings documented here from 1888 to 1931. Charlotte County, Florida. 1 documented lynching, 1917. Citrus County, Florida. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lynchings. Here's one from Clay County, Florida. Roscoe Smith, lynched in 1913. This is Collier County, Florida. 1 unknown lynching in 1940. One reason why there was so much lynching in Florida is that Florida was a wilderness. It was settled late. So lynching was very common in areas where there was not law enforcement. And that was Florida for a long time. Duval County, Florida, Jacksonville area. How many lynchings did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Duval County, Florida. Escambia County, Florida. Franklin County, Florida. Look, there's Gadsden County, Florida. There's Hamilton County. There's Hardy County. Fernando County, Florida. There's Hillsborough County, Florida. Holmes County, Florida. Jackson County, Florida. There's Jefferson County, Florida. Lafayette County, Florida. Lake County, Florida. Lee County, Florida. There's Levy County, Florida. Documented lynchings in Levy County, Florida. That's where Rosewood is. Yeah. Now they have them all spread out on the ground, so you can find your state and your county more easily. It feels like it was up here on the right. These are all by states: Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia. Here's Volusia County, Florida. 4 documented lynchings. These are all Florida. Taylor, Swanee, Sumter, St. Johns County, Polk County, Pinellas County, Pasco, Palm Beach, and Orange County. Look at this carefully. These are folks who were burned in Ocoee in 1920. Look how the dates are all about the same. November 3rd, 1920. These people were burned over lynching. Miami-Dade. Here's Miami-Dade County. The 3 known lynchings in Miami-Dade County are documented here on this monument. We're now working to bring this monument to Miami-Dade County so that it can be displayed where it belongs, in the county where this happened. And look at Madison County. Often when people were being sought to be lynched, the mob would grab members of their family and make them prisoners until the person gave himself up. And if you didn't give yourself up, they'd hang him on you, or your child, or your wife. So many victims of lynchings gave themselves up to protect their families. Lynching is a part of American history. We cannot deny it, we cannot bury it, we cannot excuse it, we cannot rationalize it. It was American history. And this place in Montgomery documents it incredibly well.
Thank you.
All right. This is the monument to July Perry, lynched in Orange County in 1920 over voting. July Perry, a Florida hero, in my opinion. I find it ironic that here in this place that memorializes lynching in our country, it's springtime. Look at the blossoms coming out. In the center of Montgomery, Alabama. And this is where the Spring Auction Block is located. right here in Montgomery, Alabama. The enslaved population of Montgomery went from 40,000 people to 400,000 people in 20 years, mainly because of the demand for enslaved labor in the lower South. Enslaved people were marched to 1,000 miles from Georgia to the Carolinas to be enslaved here in Alabama, to be sold off into enslavement from this spot, slave house, Montgomery, Alabama.
Those sided with hatred are too colorblind for me. So let's teach the truth and uncover all the lies, as well as history unmentioned.